April 7th, the magical $1,400 stimulus check day for millions of beneficiaries receiving Social Security, retirement, disability, SSDI, survivors, and SSI. Let's get into it and discuss all the details. But if you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe by hitting that button right down below the video. It's totally free to do so, and I'm here for you each and every day, doing all the research and breaking all this information down during this very busy time right now as information continues to change very rapidly, especially during this time as Congress continues to introduce all of these different packages, proposals, amendments, announcements, checks, vouchers, and so many other things that are going on right now. But don't worry, I'm watching everything closely and I'm here for you each and every day with all these updates to help you out in any way that I possibly can. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe down below and let's get right into the video. All right, so does April 7th ring a bell? I know it certainly rings a bell for me, and I think here in just a second, it's probably going to bring back some very important memories for you as well, based on April 7th and what all of us experienced just 1 year ago on April 7th. It was a really important time that we were all living through, and yes, it was already a year ago that all of this happened. Remember a $1,400 stimulus check? Yeah, of course we remember it. We remember it very, very vividly because that, unfortunately, was the last check that we received, and it has already been nearly a year later since that check came through. Now remember, April 7th, why am I pointing out this day? Let me point out a couple other key dates for you and why all of this is very important. So, it was way back on March 11th of last year, 2021. President Biden at the time, he was only in office for a couple months already, and he signed into law the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. Within it, it contained a $1,400 stimulus check. Finally, relief was on the way for us. Well, shortly thereafter, not even a week later, on Wednesday of the following week, March 17th of 2021, about 92 million people received their $1,400 stimulus check. But unfortunately, guess who didn't get it? Yeah, all the beneficiaries that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Social Security, retirement, SSDI, survivors, SSI, and VA beneficiaries. Well, a lot of us were scratching our heads wondering, what's the mystery? Why didn't we get our checks? Are we not getting it? Are we not included? What is going on here? We feel cheated. We feel like we've been betrayed. What has happened here? What is going on? Well, there we started digging. If you've been watching the channel for about a year now, remember those days back then? We were covering all this stuff. I was back for you a couple times each and every day. I was digging deep on just about everything I could possibly find. I was calling the IRS a lot. It wasn't every single day, but I called the IRS multiple times each week. I was calling Social Security. I was calling Direct Express. I was calling pretty much anybody that I could find a phone number for, figuring out what happened. Where are the checks? Why are these hundreds of thousands of people that were in the community right here at the time? Why did the vast majority of people not get checks? At the time, I was even connecting with some people here on the channel who maybe received the checks then. It was a weird mystery. There were a small handful of people here on the channel that I was reaching out saying, hey, did anybody get their payments? And a very small percentage of people were saying, yep, I got it. I got a check and I got mine came through. Well then, a lot of us were wondering, why did you get it and then we didn't? Do you remember those days? Well, even on the channel here, I was even calling a few people and we were all sitting here live together and I was holding the phone out and we were talking to people that maybe received the check, trying to reverse engineer this thing, trying to figure out what happened. Why did a small handful of people, maybe 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 people receive checks and then the vast majority of us didn't? Hundreds of thousands of us here in this community alone did not receive payments. Well, the weeks went on with a lot of questions, a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of things that we didn't know about as far as what was going on. Well, then finally, we had a break in the case. Do you remember that? It was about late in March sometime of last year. I don't remember the exact date about it, when it happened, but I do remember it was late one week. It was maybe like on a Thursday or so. There were a couple lawmakers that reached out to the Social Security Administration, and there it was. the case had been cracked. We got the information that we were looking for. Apparently, the Social Security Administration at the time did not send the files over to the IRS and the Treasury with all of the millions of beneficiaries, their information on who would be eligible for the payments, as well as their direct deposit information. Do you remember that? Well, that included all of the beneficiaries that I mentioned: Social Security, retirement, SSDI, survivors, and SSI beneficiaries. That roster, that list of names did not include VA beneficiaries, but they would come a little bit later then as well. We would get the information on them a short time later. But finally, we had a crack in the case and finally a little bit more information. So that was sometime in late March of last year, 2021. So it was an interesting time. After a couple weeks of no answers, literally no leads, we had no clue what was going on. We were just trying to reverse engineer the thing. I was reading through the rules on the American Rescue Plan, the American Rescue Plan, the $1.5 trillion package. I was trying to figure out what happened here. I could see very clearly there that yes, all of these beneficiaries were eligible for the check, but at the same time, we didn't have any leads. It was a cold case, I guess you could say, right? Remember all that? Oh, what an interesting time that we were living through. Well, then finally, we got the information out of those lawmakers and realized that, okay, it was early on a Friday morning. I remember it vividly. It was a Friday morning early, and the Social Security Administration, there was a report out at like 6:30 or something. It was early, like 6:30, 7 o'clock maybe. A report hit the wire that finally the Social Security Administration had sent over the files to the IRS and the Treasury to start sending out all of these checks. So that was a good time. However, then the mystery continued for a little bit longer. At the time, after they sent the files over to the IRS, there were no checks. No checks for a couple weeks. We were wondering what's going on. Why are there no checks? Why have not they come through yet? The IRS has all the files. They have all the beneficiaries. They have all the names. They have the roster. They have the direct deposit information for bank accounts, for direct express cards, all of this information. Where are the checks? Where are the payments? Well, all of us, once again, were scratching our heads, wondering what's going on. I was on the phone again, calling the IRS, calling Social Security, calling Direct Express. Again, no answers. In fact, at the time, if you remember this was actually an interesting point I just recalled as I'm going through this. At the time, there were all of these automated messages. Do you remember hearing that? Literally, every website that you went to, you could have gone to your bank website, you could have called any of these institutions, any of these entities, you could have called them, and they all had essentially the same message. Sorry, we don't have any information. Do you remember that? Wow, I just recalled that as I was talking through this story here. I remember even going onto my bank website, right across the headlines on the main page of my bank website, we don't have any answers. Don't call us. I mean, they didn't say exactly that, but essentially in the nice way that however they word it, they essentially said, we don't have any answers on the stimulus check. Don't call us. Remember that? Even on the Snap app, remember that one? The app that you use for your Snap benefits? Even on there was a little bit of information under one of the categories. I even downloaded the app and I was looking around on it. I thought, this is kind of interesting too. Somebody here on the channel told me that there was a little tidbit on that app there, and I was looking around on it as well. So we were trying to find any information that we possibly could to crack the case and try to figure out what is going on with these very important payments that people need immediately. Well, sure enough, a little while later, we finally got the case and we finally got some information, a final announcement out of the IRS that Social Security beneficiaries would be getting their official payments on April 7th. Well, at that point, I think a lot of us were a little bit skeptical because it had already been a couple weeks with no payments, and they were kept saying, oh, payments are coming, and nothing was coming. So a lot of us were getting a little bit skeptical. However, the announcement was made out of the IRS. April 7th was the key date that payments would arrive. It happened to be a Wednesday. Again, I remember it very, very vividly, and I'm guessing you're probably recalling that date now. As I talk through this, you're probably remembering it. You're seeing the images pop into your mind right there on your screen, whether it's on a computer or your phone, wherever you were looking. I'm guessing early on April 7th, you probably woke up. You probably didn't even roll out of bed yet. I know I didn't. You didn't even roll out of bed yet, and you looked at your phone or your computer, wherever you were looking to check your bank balance or your Direct Express card, whatever it happened to be, and there it was, pending $1,400 on the morning of April 7th, 2021, the last stimulus check that we received And oh man, living through those days once again right here, talking through this, what a nice time that was. I mean, seriously, I think all of us can probably recognize it was a pretty stressful time. We were looking through everything, trying to find all the information, figuring out what was going on. But finally, at last, one of the leads that we got out of the IRS saying April 7th was the key date and all of these beneficiaries would be getting their payments. Now, to be totally fair, not everybody got their payment on April 7th, but that was the day. I remember it very vividly. I came back to you early that morning with a video like I do every morning, and I said, hey, today is the day. I was super excited. I posted that video, and it started comments started rolling in immediately from many people reaching out in the comments section. There was so much happiness. There was joy. There was excitement. I mean, it was literally just like a super fun day. I remember reading through all the comments on that video throughout the day, and so many people down below in the comments section on those videos saying, I got my payment today. I got it. It's on my Direct Express card. It's in my bank account. $1,400, $2,800, $1,400 for me, $1,400 for my spouse. It was a cool day. So anyway, so much fun to think back on that and remember the day that we finally got some relief out of Congress. They passed it through after a few weeks of really frustrating times with no answers. It finally came through, and April 7th was the key date, 2021, when we got the $1,400 stimulus check. So anyway, that was a really good time that we were living through right then and there. Well, let's be real though. April 7th was a good time. Leading up to that, it was a really tough time for a lot of people. There were a lot of people here in the community that were really struggling. But I think here we are, nearly a year later from then, and I think all of us can probably reflect on that day and realize, oh yeah, things were tough back then, but seriously, what we experienced back then a year ago is nothing compared to what we are experiencing today, right? Inflation is double. Inflation is double. Actually, it's more than double. It's like triple or maybe even close to quadrupled where it was a year ago, just about a year ago. So yeah, inflation has tripled since where it was at that time last year when we were getting that $1,400 check. Prices... I wish, oh man, thinking back, I wish I had prices. I wish I had a receipt laying around from maybe like a grocery bill from a year ago. That would be, honestly, I don't think I'd even want to look at it. Prices back then would be so cheap. It'd be like a bargain. You know what I mean? It'd be like, wow, I hit the lottery. I'm going out to the grocery store and paying 50% for all the same old things these days. You know what I mean? So... anyway, wow, I don't even think I'd want to look at a grocery bill from a year ago compared to what we're paying today with all these prices right now. Anyway, that was a very interesting time. Inflation has gone up substantially. A lot has changed globally and right here in the United States. There's a lot going on all around out there. Inflation continues to go through the roof right now. It's like on a... I don't know. It's like on a rocket ship going up into the outer space. Seriously, that's like what inflation is doing right now. Things are advancing so incredibly fast right now. Prices are getting away from people. The small fixed incomes that everybody's living on right now are certainly not enough. I think all of us can probably agree about that. Anyway, kind of an interesting time that we were living through, but I thought it would be kind of interesting to come back and kind of talk through the progression of last year once again, because all of us were here. If you were in the community here, we were here talking about all this stuff. We were here. I was doing live streams very often back then, and we were talking through all the details, trying to hammer out everything that was going on at the time and figure out what is going on with our benefits and what's going on with that stimulus check. Anyway, we can only cross our fingers. We got to do everything we possibly can to get out to Congress right now, remind them that a check is needed so incredibly badly, and ultimately do whatever we possibly can to lay the groundwork and continue to build the case with Congress. I'm not sure what is so hard to figure out. The landscape that we are living through right now is very, very different, and honestly, it's worse than what it was a year ago. The only thing that is different is maybe COVID is a little bit more controlled, but even then, I don't even remember what COVID was like a year ago. Honestly, it all kind of blends together, all the days. I guess I could go back and research it and see exactly where COVID was exactly a year ago, but for the most part, I don't think it was all that crazy, right? It's not like it was, it's not like we were locked down or anything, so... The landscape is very, very different today than what it was a year ago. So if they could justify a $1,400 check a year ago, I feel like they could easily justify a $2,000 check or even more right now, right? Anyway, thought it'd be fun to come back and take a little trip down memory lane with you. Remember from about a year ago, with everything that was going on back then? Oh man, it would be really nice if Congress came to their senses and did something like this once again for the people, especially those people who are struggling so badly. They don't need to send out a check for everybody right now, just about the 50 million or so people who are struggling so incredibly badly right now. Anyway, I'm going to continue doing everything I possibly can to reach out to Congress, to get their attention, and ultimately remind them of a focused stimulus check. Please remember, I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can be. Make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss any updates going forward. I'm here watching everything. I'm doing all the research. I'm breaking it all down into these short videos as my dedication and my commitment to you and this community to help you out in any way that I possibly can. Please have a nice day. Subscribe down below, share the video, and go back and check out any of the other 2,300 plus videos right here on the channel. And thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm here for you in any way that I can be. I know the struggle's real, but I want to help you out in any way that I can. So please enjoy your day. Stay safe out there. And